I'm AGA. I'm compulsive eater. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day out of GreySheet. I commit them to my sponsor. I don't eat in between no matter what. And God and abstinence are most important in my life today. And my abstinence date is the 7th of February 2021. I would like to start with a little bit of my story when I come from. I joined GreySheet about 3.5 years ago after I've seen another GreySheeter weighing and measuring his food. It was something inspiring in his action. And probably like most of us, I joined our fellowship to control my weight. But I discovered soon that the problem is much, much deeper. And that problem was dysfunctional relationship with God. When somebody told me about that, I was surprised, and I even thought, how the hell they may know about my relationship if that person doesn't know me? But I was wrong, because it was really something wrong in my relationship with God. It was because my relationship with Dad wasn't good, and I, transferred that feelings and emotions to God. At the beginning, I thought that my problem with food started when I moved to the UK, but when I started listening other people's stories, or on YouTube, or in the meetings, I've realized that it began much, much earlier, probably very soon after I was born. It's because I know that from family stories that I was a chubby baby and I was hungry 24 hours. And I also heard about stories about crying for food when I was baby. And then the opposite happened when I was a toddler, because I didn't want to eat. I was complaining about everything. And the most traumatic experience which I remember from that time, it was when I was about 3 or 4 years old, was that I was left without food for 3 days. It was a punishment for complaining about food. I was screaming, I was hungry, but my parents didn't give me anything. And since then, I wasn't complaining about food at all. And but this, I think I hidden this memory somewhere in my head, but it came back to me many years later. And the real problem with food started when I was a teenager, and this problem was become more difficult when I got married. I think it was a kind of subconscious behavior when I began rewarding myself with food when I was happy, and punishing myself when something went wrong. And the obvious effect of overeating and numbing myself with food was gaining weight. And very soon I became an addict. And also, I didn't know at the time that it's addiction, but I knew something is wrong because I was very suicidal. And I had few suicidal attempts. But thankfully, I'm now here. So when I met a GreySheeter, that person I mentioned at the beginning, he was weighing and measuring his food. I didn't really know what he's doing and why he's doing so, but a few months later, I joined GreySheet. And I'm very grateful for that today. I would like to tell you about one of my biggest no matter what situations. in November last year, we were replacing our kitchen, and I was talking with many people who experienced that, who went through something similar. I had everything prepared in my head, but when our friends came to help us with that kitchen and we started replacing the kitchen, everything became very chaotic and I couldn't focus on anything. And there was so huge stress connected with that, and I felt completely unable to prepare myself for that time, and all my stuff from the kitchen was removed to the living room, and I couldn't find anything what I needed. And that chaos lasted for a couple of days, and I have no idea how I remained abstinent. I do believe that it was my higher power's hand in it. He protected me. And it cost me a lot of effort, and I was very close to panic attacks, which I experienced in the past. And one day I thought, I think the biggest problem was whether I should, in that difficult time, was whether I should prepare food for myself first or for the rest of family and for those friends who are helping us, because I still have problems with prioritizing things, putting myself first to protect my abstinence. And every single day something bad was happening in our kitchen. We had problem with water, with electricity, with gas. We didn't have hot water and heating for 3 days in a row, and it was quite cold time, so it was a difficult moment. And I don't know why, but preparing food for myself and for everybody else was very overwhelming. But I was like in a kind of trance. And one day I had a real crisis. I hated my new kitchen. I hated my husband and our friends. I hated myself. And I came to my bedroom, switched off the light, and I curled up like a baby, and I was praying. I was just begging God for help. And I probably fallen asleep, because I woke up next morning with clear mind, with ideas what to do, how to prepare everything what I was using and what I was doing for the time before replacing our kitchen. I was managing, my food, my preparation every single day, and it was fine. But for some reason, during replacing this kitchen, it became a problem. So in the morning, everything came back, and I was very calm. I felt peace. I felt clear mind, and I decided to wake up like an hour earlier before everybody else wakes up. And I prepared food for myself, for the rest of family and friends, and everything became easy. I don't know why it was so obvious for me at the very beginning. What I wanted to say, that morning when everything became clear and easy, I felt safe and I felt protected, but it wasn't my effort any effort. It was just a gift. I became able to plan my shopping better, and it was kind of like if I was unblocked suddenly, and I became even started liking my new kitchen, my friends, my family, and I got a compassion to myself and to them, and I became even remain even calm when our kitchen in one of the part got damaged, but everything was, it doesn't disturb me. Anyway, I think that at that moment, the willingness to surrender everything to my higher power, I just got that gift, and I had to admit that I'm powerless and I can't control my life. And I survived that moment. And if anybody is planning to replace the kitchen, just call me. I can give you my tips. And I'm still abstinent. I had great support from my sponsor at the time and my fellows. We often say in GreySheet, one day at a time, but very often it's sometimes even 1 minute at a time. I needed to plan my food, preparing and protecting myself. And I think this, no matter what situation, was a good lesson to me, and helped me to learn and develop new skills and new abilities. And I got much more courage. I became more confident. So that was that. No matter what moment, I had many like that moments in my life. I mean, in this moment when I'm in GreySheet. As everybody else, I also have difficult moments, and my biggest struggles today are with the outreach calls. I was always afraid to call the people because I thought that I bothered them, that they are busy with their lives. But at the same time, I realized that every time when I eventually speak with someone, I really like speaking with people. But this blockage somewhere in my head is difficult to overcome. I also have difficulties with sharing at the meeting. I attend 2 or 3, sometimes 3 meetings weekly, but I hardly share. It's because I think that I have nothing interesting to say. But at the same time, I know that even this little, what I've got, can be everything for someone who has nothing, who just came, joined this program, and those people may need, like even a little bit of any hope and experience. And yeah, I also think that I don't do much service in GreySheet, and again, it's because I don't believe I've got the proper skills which can be useful to other people. But at the same time, it's always like the opposite. So at the same time, I think that I've got experience from even my private life, which could be useful for others. And especially that's why I decided to join a startup team to help newcomers. Give me a second. And I also have sometimes struggle with planning my food and doing shopping because I don't believe I have right to do something good to myself. But in GreySheet, I'm learning to love myself and to have respect to myself. I also need to remember that this program is about progress, not perfection, and that the aim in being in this fellowship is getting closer to my higher power. And it's because it's not me who keeps me absent. It's a gift from God. I wanted really to say, if there are any newcomers here, you are the most important people in fellowship. I need relationship with newcomers because I want to remember. And I want to say that there is hope in this addiction, that even if you struggle at the beginning, there will be a moment when everything will change and you became abstinent one day. I remember that it was when I got this abstinence at the beginning, it was very easy to be proud of myself and even arrogant when I achieved some longer abstinence. But today I know that it was a very dangerous moment, because apparently I was the most vulnerable moment, and I was exposed to my enemy, to my food addiction. And I also try to encourage newcomers and my sponsors that counting the day, especially at the beginning, it's not important. Important is because I think that sometimes not the aim is important, but the journey I've got. So everything what I experience on my way, on my journey to abstinence is important, because it's a lesson and it helps me to grow. And I'm again talking to newcomers. If you're struggling with shopping and cooking for yourself, try to believe that it's only a moment and only a little bit of this overwhelming situation. You will become stronger with time being. And what I want to say is, sometimes people say my abstinence is the most important thing. I would like to say that for me, my higher power is the most important in my life. And because I do believe when he is first, everything else is on the correct place. I also experienced, and I want to share this with you, that GreySheet program doesn't take away my difficulties, but it helps to live with, teach me how to live with my difficulties. Somebody said, and I really like this statement, that I can't live here and enjoy the present, and I can't look into the future without fear if I don't face my past. And this happens when I work the steps. And for me, working the steps is a journey of forgiving other people who hurt me, forgiving God, but most of all, forgiving myself. If I don't forgive myself, I can't forgive anybody else. And as I said before, GreySheet also teaches me self-love. But because it's a we program, not me program, I want to be aware of other people, and I want to be available for other people in fellowship, especially to those most vulnerable and still suffering. That's why the words which I want to say now are very important to me. When anyone anywhere realizes that they have problem with food, I want them to think of the GreySheet solution. For that, I'm responsible. If there's anybody looking for a sponsor, I'm available, and I will be happy to help you and to tell you about GreySheet solution. Thank you very much, Jamie, for inviting me to share. And yeah, it's great to be here with you. Thank you.